Welcome to Audacity Works, a podcast inspired by and dedicated to the working artist, the creative entrepreneur, and generally, doing the damn thing. This exists on the premise that the world belongs to those who have the audacity to believe that their lives have value. This is for you. Welcome to Audacity Works. I am your host, Rachel Strickland, and this is episode number 96. Oh my god. I want to talk about perfectionism today and how that can manifest and also what to do about it. But first, I'm going to give you the updates. So, it's a Tuesday. I'm recording this the day before it goes live. And this morning, I looked back through the summer. It has not been a restful summer, y'all. And that's just, life got lifey. My attention was needed, and I have done some summery things, but I need to go to the beach. I just want to go to the beach for like an hour and feel like summer is still happening for me. And I didn't have any appointments on my calendar, so I just took off in the morning and went at 11 on a Tuesday to the beach. And it was absolutely lovely. I just sat by myself and went for the tiniest of tiny walks. I read my book. I ate a sandwich. I threw a piece of spinach to a seagull who was very interested. He did not take me up on that offer. And then I came home, and I understand this is a very privileged way to approach a Tuesday. It's also just how I have set my life up. Can I do this every day? Absolutely not. Could I do it today? Yeah, I could. And I kept waiting for that that urgency. They're oh shit, I've got other things to do. I'd like to make some content that needs to go out today. I've got a launch coming up. But none of that happened because what I realized was the thing that's been bothering me when, I guess I have been working a lot in preparation for the launch of the Audacity project, Cycle 27, coming at you soon. But what had actually been bothering me wasn't the fact that I wasn't working enough, because I was working plenty. It was getting done. It takes as long as it takes to get done. What was bothering me was that I needed to feel summer and a connection to this, my favorite time of year. But because I was putting my work first, as I am wont to do, that wasn't happening. So today I put summer first. And it's made the rest of the day incredibly relaxing, which I did not expect. I kind of expected a little bit of urgency around lost time. Those hours between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are super productive for a lot of people. They are for me. But instead of using them to do work today, I used them to disappoint a seagull. And that was the correct choice. I get into my routines, and I am a creature of the home. I'm basically a hobbit. Always wanted to be an elf. Turns out I'm a hobbit. And I love being home, and I love my routines. I like waking up. I want to get to work, so come into my office at my desk and make whatever shit needs to happen. And I love that. And I get kind of attached to it, and I don't want to waver from the routine that I've set for myself, which is work in the morning, sometime in the afternoon, go do something physical, and when possible, meet a friend for coffee, come home, dig in the dirt, prepare food, Netflix and chill, but no, literally Netflix and chill, with my husband and Bernie. Bernie's my cat, if you're new here. Hi, welcome. And I love routine for the same reason that I love discipline. When you don't feel like doing something, but it's something that is in line with your values, it's good for your life, you need to do it, routine and discipline will be there for you because you've put the reps in and you have the connections ready in your brain. This is what happens next. And you don't need to feel a certain way to get done what you need to get done because you have routine and discipline to help you. And it's not super comfy for me to vary from my routine or my discipline. But after today and just rebelling against myself, frankly, and it having a really positive outcome because it really freed up all that energy that I didn't realize I was spending worrying about wasting the summer because I just put summer first. So it's 4 p.m. today. I've just started working, but I feel so much better. And I'm not going to work till 8 because I don't do that. I'll get done what gets done today. And yeah, so I guess the lesson there, the point of this long-winded story is that even beneficial and healthy routines need to be challenged every now and then. At least that's what I'm taking away from today. Like I mixed it up, and I was afraid that the fallout would be that I lost something, but actually I gained something. The other sort of thing that's happened in my life is that I bought a new car last week. It's not new, it's a 2021, which to me is basically a spaceship because I've been driving a 20-year-old Prius, since 2014. It has been 20 years old that whole time, obviously, but it's 20 years old now, and she served me well, but it was just time for a new car. By far the most expensive thing I've ever bought, except for my home. It wasn't outrageous. It's just, a car costs more than groceries, which is a routine expense. And I think I do have some resistance around spending big sums of money. I'm kind of glad that that's there. It keeps me accountable to myself. But in this case as well, the resistance is from I'm afraid I'll lose too much, or by making this purchase, I'll lose something. But what I actually gained was knowing my car's not going to break down on the side of the road. So I gained back all that energy that I was using subconsciously most of the time to worry about, am I going to reach my destination, or am I going to end up having to call AAA? Actually, I don't even have AAA anymore, so I don't even know. Who would I call? I'm sure that I have, there's insurance for that or whatever, but I don't know what number that is. These are the things that were sucking energy from me that I didn't realize. So yeah, I spent some money, but I also gained my peace of mind back. Now, next time I go to visit my bestie and my godkids, I'm not going to worry at all. And that feels really good. So that's 2 examples for you today from my very recent lived experience of spending something, either time or money, but getting more in return. Because that energy was freed back up for me to use. And this ties in with what I wanted to talk about today, perfectionism. It falls under the umbrella, to me, of imposter syndrome. I think perfectionism is one of the more insidious gremlins that there are, because it's heralded as a positive trait in Western culture, which is absolute horse shit, in my opinion. You're like, no, I haven't finished it yet. I haven't published it yet. I haven't performed it yet because it's just not ready. I'm a perfectionist. That's not a good thing. It's not good. Think about it this way. A gremlin always has one goal, which is to prevent you from doing things. So if your perfectionism is keeping you from actually making anything, it's a gremlin. Now, I wanted to make this super clear as a caveat. If you call yourself a perfectionist, but you're also prolific, you finish things, you produce things, you make a bunch of things, and you call yourself a perfectionist, that's not what I'm talking about. I would not even call you a perfectionist. I would call you someone with a high standard of excellence, because it's not a gremlin to you. It's not holding you back. It's not holding you down. It's not preventing you from making things. You just have a high standard of excellence. Perfectionism, by definition, requires that things reach an unattainable and faultless state of being before they can ever see the light of day. And so in the context of the way that I speak about perfectionism, that's what I'm talking about. So in that way, perfectionism isn't a good thing. It doesn't mean you do good work. It usually means you do no work at all. You don't produce anything, you don't finish anything, because it has to be this certain ethereal way that doesn't exist, so it never gets finished. So in the making of creative work or artistic work, this manifests like this. You have lots of ideas that you may or may not be working on or towards all the time. But if someone actually asked you, show me the evidence of the work that you're making, you would not or could not produce anything to show them. Because most of the work has been happening in your head. Because once it leaves your head, it has the ability to suck, frankly. And while it's still safely in your skull, it's faultless. No one can find anything wrong with it because 1, no one knows about it, and 2, there isn't anything wrong with it. It's just electricity in your brain. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. If you just want to like hold an idea, I talked about this several weeks ago, artistic hoarding and how to stop doing that. I'll link that episode in the show notes if you want to have a listen to that. But if that's where you are, that's where you are. You know, like whatever. I'm not here to tell you that this part of your journey is wrong. But if that's where you are and you don't want to continue on that path, that's why I created this episode. So I have such a grudge against perfectionism, and many artists who come through my doors in the Audacity Project are what I would call recovering perfectionists. And the awesome thing about recovering perfectionists is that they have bangerang ideas. They have excellent artistic instincts. They're just developing the muscle of acting on those instincts. And because the Audacity Project is about action, not theory, they make progress during those 8 weeks that we're together. And in the process of making progress, they develop routine and discipline, something that's reliable for them. And this is where I'm going to make a couple of confessions, one after the other. One, I am not, and I don't think I have ever been an artistic perfectionist. In fact, I remember just being in university where I got a bachelor's degree in creative writing and literature. And particularly during poetry seminar, we'd be sitting around this round table and we'd be talking about a certain poem. And these people would talk for like an hour and a half about this poem that like wasn't even that good to me, and talking about, well, this is what I think and this is what I'm like, can we just get on with it? It's a poem. Can we just write some more poems? I want to make some more poems and not just yammering on and on and on. I have never enjoyed academic discourse. I know that's like a thing for most people, and I shake you warmly by the hand and encourage you to follow that if that interests you. I've never been able to engage with that in a very meaningful way. As soon as things turn to a conversation of postmodern this or deconstructed that, I'm like, oh, yawn. It's completely separate from me in how I experience the work that we're talking about. But anyway, like I'm going off on a tangent, but I just wanted to make more work. And I've never, how do I say this? I swung so far in the opposite direction of perfectionism in my artistic work that I feel like I'm the queen of good enough. I'm like, yeah, it's alive, it's walking around, it's got meat on its bones, put it out into the world, do it. And that works for me because I don't give a shit if it's perfect. I don't care about that. That's not a value for me. It's for my artistic work to be found faultless and without flaw. That's not valuable to me. I just want it to exist. And as long as I'm happy with it, then I don't care. Someone else is going to like it. They always do. Some people are going to hate it. They're probably not even going to tell me. That's fine. So here I am walking through the world thinking, I just don't get perfectionism. I swung so hard in the other direction, and, I make a lot of work and I love my work, and I'm sure some people hate it. That's fine too. I hope somebody takes issue with it. Otherwise, I'm not taking enough risk. La 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 la, all smug. Okay, super smug about how I've bossed perfectionism. But then in conversations with my therapist, she was like, I think I see some perfectionism happening for you. I'm like, no, let me tell you how wrong you are, and just went on and on about everything that I just said to you. And she's like, oh, okay, fair enough. My mistake. And then she brought it up again. And I'm like, no, we've talked about this. And she brought it up again. I'm like, okay, why do you keep trying to push this label on me? I'm not a perfectionist. And she's like, Rachel, I wasn't talking about your artistic work. And it was so rude. It was such a rude thing for her to say because she was absolutely correct. Because my work occupies such an enormous amount of my energy, my mental space, my heart space. And so I was like, obviously, that's the only way in which we can be a perfectionist. Correct? Not correct. So I have this little Post-it taped up by my computer monitor that says, how does perfectionism manifest in my non-artist life? Turns out, quite a bit. Wasn't aware of it. So rude of her to point that out. But, thanks, Doc. So in case you're interested, and even if you're not, this is how that looks. How does perfectionism manifest in my non-artist life? Generally, for the past 42 years, I haven't had bad blood with anybody. One of those reasons is because I'm a mellow motherfucker. Another one of those reasons for that is that I don't like it when people are mad at me. I mean, no one likes it, but I learned how to chameleon myself from a young age into someone that most people would approve of. This was super apparent in my youth, not so much anymore, but it was still happening in my adult life in really kind of subversive ways. Like, we tell ourselves stories about what our life is going to be like when we're young, when we're now, the way that we are now. We tell ourselves stories about how our life is supposed to look. And I'm not saying how we want it to look. I'm saying how we think it's supposed to look, which is societal shit. But you know what I say about conditioning? It's like a glass door. You can see right through it, but it's going to stop you in your tracks if you faceplant into it. And a lot of times when this is happening, we have expectations about how our lives, how our relationships are going to be, how our careers are going to be. And we're not even really conscious of the ways in which we judge our own lives as falling short of the mark, because we're just rushing to catch up and try to get back to a place where we can be okay with things as they are. But if we can shine a flashlight on those expectations and ask ourselves, what is the story that I am telling myself about my life that has me feeling disappointed in the circumstances that I'm in right now? That flashlight can help us find the truth. Like, is any of this indicative of my value system at all? So if you find yourself being held down and suppressed by perfectionism, my first recommendation is to shine a flashlight by asking yourself that question. What is the story that you're telling yourself, either about your work or your relationships or your life or your health? I don't know, whatever. Ask yourself that question. Shine a flashlight on the situation so that you can see the ways in which you might be subconsciously robbing yourself of energy by just judging the shit out of everything that you're doing. My second recommendation, actually, this is usually the first thing that I tell people when they're like, I have to admit, I'm a perfectionist. I'm working on it. Like, go make a mess. Go make a mess right now. Go do something bad on purpose. Go burn the toast. Go fail at a pullover. Buy someone a thoughtless gift. Go fuck something up immediately. You just need to make a mistake. Generally, this is said in terms of artwork. But I think it can apply to life as well. I'm not telling you to light your life on fire, but that is the first line of defense for me when people come to me with perfectionism. I'm like, go make a mess. Please, just go make a mess. So how was I meant to use that when I'm discovering perfectionism has insidiously burrowed its way into my life outside of my artistic practice? For me, it was being okay with disappointing people. I don't want to have bad blood with people. I don't want people to be mad at me. But, that's going to happen. And just, I'm okay with that now. I'm not wonderful at it. It doesn't feel good, but I am also completely happy to let people have their experiences of me without needing to control them. And what I realized is that my perfectionist tendencies around the relationships that I have with people in my life and needing to be found faultless and be liked at all times was a sense of safety. And because I achieved a sense of safety by feeling like I was approved of. And that's biological. Like, I know why that's there. But also, it went a little bit too far in places where I would protect people from the consequences of their own bad behavior by absorbing the fallout instead of holding them accountable for the fallout. So that's where, hey, go make a mess came into play for me in the past, let's say, month. This may seem like small beans, but there are at least 2 human beings right now walking around planet Earth, one of which is really mad at me, and the other of which probably feels really rejected by me, and I am okay with both of those things because the circumstances dictated, my own boundaries dictated that was going to be the outcome. And also, who are we to protect people from their own full range of human experience? You disappoint someone, let them be disappointed. You make someone mad, they're entitled to be mad. That's fine. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to you or not. They get to feel however they're going to feel. And if someone super pushes up against your boundaries in a way that's not cool, so you decide to block them on all social media platforms and deny them access to you, they might feel a way about that. And you don't have to care. There are lots of people who love you and are entitled to your care and your consideration. You don't need to protect people from the consequences of their own behavior. So that's been my experience of make a mess to counteract my own kind of embodied sense of perfectionism. Because perfectionism is bullshit. Like, it doesn't lead to good artwork. It doesn't lead to good lives. It's a very patriarchal, white supremacist colonialism is rampant in this idea. It's just, no, it's bad. I don't like it. And the goal of it is always just to hold you back and hold you down. And I gotta tell you, making a mess artistically has always been very freeing. And now that I am allowing messes to just exist in relationship, I'm like, this is sublimely freeing. I don't have to control anyone else's experience. Just as I could never hope to control the experience that someone else has of my work. All I can do is make my work, please myself, and put it forward. That's literally my job. So this has been a very confessional episode. But I've had all these thoughts swimming around my head, and while I was at the beach this morning, I kept thinking about it. I'm like, I just need to make an episode about perfectionism because this shit's real. So there you are. You just listened to it. Thank you. Also, the wait list for Cycle 27 of the Audacity Project is closing on Friday. The wait list has early enrollment, get some monies off, $100 off the price of enrollment, and there's an early access bonus that's only available in the first 24 hours of enrollment. So all of those things are only available to the wait list. You can check the show notes for that. I know I had the dates mixed up a couple of weeks ago about when I was closing the wait list. Sorry for being human. It will happen again. I'm actually not sorry, but you know that already. Thank you so much for sitting with me. If you have any thoughts, if you have a, oh my God, me too moment, tell me about it. I love hearing from you. You can reach me always on Instagram at Rachel Strickland Creative or on Patreon at Rachel Strickland Creative. If you have requests for future episodes, would love to hear them too. I'm actually getting kind of thin in that department. I only have like half a page of requests left, and they're mostly requests for guest episodes. So those will happen slowly, but they will happen. So thank you very much for listening to my confessional episode today. Always, always happy to hear from you. Without you, I'm just some woman talking into a microphone to herself every week. I know y'all are listening, and I just, I appreciate it. I know because you tell me sometimes, and I can see the downloads, so thank you. Until next time, my friends, go make a mess, and don't go back to sleep.